Woohoo! Wednesday, folks. I'm a little bit late, aren't I, this morning? I just got sidetracked answering a message in Facebook. So apologies for not being on the dot. For those of you who know me, you know that I get hacked off when people are late, and here I am being late to my own live. Hey ho. So I just wanted to jump in because it is Mental Health Awareness Week this week, folks. And I'm surprised I haven't really seen that much about it on the news, but I'm guessing, as is often the way with these things, that stuff tends to come at the latter end of the week. So we shall see just what gets talked about and what gets broadcast. I know that in the little kind of the world that I am in, there is a lot of stuff being talked about mindset. And so I just wanted to kind of jump on and just talk about what do we mean by mindset. Well, really what we mean is how you are thinking and how that thinking then affects how you feel. And then how you feel, along with your thinking, affects the decisions that you make about the actions that you're going to take. And that's really what we mean about mindsets. And when we talk about having a good mindset, we're often talking about positive thoughts and taking positive actions that are going to help you to get towards what it is that you say you want. It's pretty straightforward, doesn't it? But here's the thing. And this is where I kind of struggle a little bit with the way that some self-help groups are written and the way some people talk about helping you over mental health issues, because it's not just about mindset. You have to understand brain talk. And this is something that I do with my clients, because when we talk about changing your thinking and changing your beliefs and stuff, we cannot just do that. We can't just say affirmations, kind of AKA The Secret, and put out into the universe what we want without understanding a little bit about how your brain actually works. And this is crucial to being able to change your mindset and being able to take the actions that you say you want to take without it feeling really hard and like it's a struggle. Because when you understand how your brain is wired and how the brain connects to every major organ in your body via your vagus nerve, you'll understand that just changing your thinking is a big part of the story, but it's not the full picture. So you need to understand that your brain is wired in a certain way to keep you alive, to help you to survive. And what it wants over and above anything else is for you to feel safe. Right? And this is why the unknown is something that we struggle with, because when we don't know the outcome of something, when we don't know how something is going to feel, if we're trying something for the first time, then every part of us is screaming, don't do it, it's too scary. Now, there are some people who absolutely love that unknown and that adrenaline rush and get curious about discovering what it's going to feel like. And it would be great if we could all do that. But if you've had childhood experiences whereby the unknown has led to some kind of trauma, an event that you can recall where you were very emotional, whether it's angry emotional, whether it's sad emotional, whether it's being hurt physically or abused verbally, then the unknown in your brain has a connection with not a great outcome. Yeah, and so you can see why you don't want to do it. And this is where, when you understand how your brain works, you can understand why just saying affirmations and just positive thinking and having a clearer mindset and being more aware of your language is important, but it's not the whole story. Your brain, basically, you've got 4 brains, folks. And this is the stuff that most people don't talk about. This is the stuff that I share with my clients. And those 4 brains all have different functions. And when you understand what those functions actually are, you can see why it's vital that you understand brain talk, as well as understanding your language, the language that you use inside your own head, your thoughts. A lot of people get confused when I talk about your inner voice or your inner language, because they tell me they don't talk to themselves. But thinking is you talking to yourself. It's the same thing. So whatever terminology you like to use, whatever works for you, there's no right? It's whatever you can connect with. That's what's the important thing. And this is the same when it comes to changing mindset, because people will say, oh, this is what you should do, and this is what you need to do. And I'm going to say, oh, you find out what works best for you. And without kind of going into the depths of actually how your brain works, because that's the stuff that I share with my one-to-one clients. What I want you to understand is that you can change things, because once you know how something works, you can change it, you can improve on it, you can shift it. If you don't know how something works, how can you? And I'm going to kind of go pretty mechanical here, but I'm going to think about just somebody like Mr. Dyson, for example. Right? Why him? Well, because he had decided that he wanted to make vacuum cleaners more effective, more efficient, better, easier to function, not as heavy, and all of the stuff. So what did he do? He had to understand how a conventional vacuum cleaner worked first. Then he had to work out what would be better, what could be better. And then he had to look at what did he need to do practically to be able to make those changes possible, right? Then he had to test it out to see if what he'd changed worked, didn't he? Yeah, and then he went back and he said, okay, so that's working great. That's not working exactly as I expected. Now, this is exactly the same when we talk about brain set and shifting your habit patterns and shifting how you feel and how you think. You have to do things differently and then see how it feels for you. Is it working? Is it not? If you're talking about changing how you make decisions, we can connect to our gut instinct as opposed to just coming from our logical brain. You know, so many people tell me, well, my head was telling me one thing, but my heart was saying something else, or my gut was saying something else, but I went with logic. Well, you went with logic because that's a particular part of your brain. But if you can connect to your physical body as well, then you can start to tune in intuition to what the rest of you is saying. And that's to do with your nervous system and that vagus nerve that I was talking about. So understanding that your physical body is connected to your brain is so important when it comes to mental health. And I've kind of come around in a circle, but when we're talking about mental health, we also have to understand how are we looking after ourselves physically, because self-care is crucial to good mental health. And if we are not getting outdoors and getting some fresh air and having a change of scenery and environment, if we are not getting a decent kind of routine in the mornings where we start our day in a certain positive way, if we're not having a winding down routine that gives the brain and the body the messages that it needs to create the hormones that will allow you to sleep, then you can see why people struggle, because they don't understand that their daily lifestyle habits play a huge part in their mental health. Your nutritional habits play a huge part. The actual environment you're in, how many toxicants, how many chemicals that are around you, if you've got mold, if you've got issues with damp, if you have got an undetected parasite or fungal infections, those things that you think about as being physical things will affect how your brain is functioning, how your hormones function, and the messengers, hormones are messengers that tell the body and the brain what to do. So I just wanted to kind of, especially this week when it is mental health awareness, just remind ourselves that it's not just about people having serious mental health issues. We all have mental health. It's how we think, it's how we cope, it's how we manage stress in our lives, right? We all have it, but it is connected inextricably, intangibly, right? You can't separate it from your physical health. So during this week, if you know somebody who is struggling very much so with their mental health, whether it's social anxiety, whether it is a serious depression diagnosis, whether it is pain that people are in that is affecting how they feel about themselves, whatever the reason is, if you know somebody like that, why not reach out to them and just say, hey, do you fancy a change of scene? Do you want to meet up in a park? Do you fancy going for a coffee? How about I come round for a 15-minute chat, and then you've got a change of conversation, and just allows them to not feel under pressure, but to be able to open the door to maybe just changing things for a short time in that day, because from little changes come big ones. I also just wanted to say on that score, folks, if you do know anybody who is struggling, then obviously be aware of the language, that they don't want you to fix them. They don't want you to be a rescuer. They certainly don't want you to tell them what they should be doing, because that'll just make them feel even worse when they already feel pretty damned hopeless or helpless or just pretty wretched. What I wanted to say as well is just be a really good listener, right? If you do have somebody, it's hard to be a good listener when somebody has got mental health problems, if they seem to be consistently and continuously saying the same stuff over and over again. So what I am going to caveat that with, do be a good listener, but also look after yourself and your health. And don't feel that you should be doing more than you are if it's affecting you, because just being there and knowing that you are there, if that person needs to reach out and make a phone call, might just be enough. And just let them know that you are there. Don't force a conversation, but don't put yourself in a position where it becomes your problem and your burden either. I hope that's been helpful. If it has, if you have got any issues that you want to talk to me about, you know what to do. Just put a comment in the box below here, or just say, hey Vic, let's have a conversation. DM me privately, and I will send you a link to book in for a free 15-minute chat with me about what your issue is, whether it's physical, whether it's mental, whether it's to do with your hormones, autoimmune issues, disordered eating, alcohol addiction, smoking, whatever it happens to be. Then please don't suffer in silence. Don't think you should be able to sort that stuff out on your own. You can't know what you don't know. And if you don't talk brain like I do, then you might just find that you are struggling and making it much, much harder than yourself than you need to. So please do not be embarrassed, shamed, or feel guilty about reaching out. There is no judgment, and anything you say to me is completely confidential. On that note, I wish you a woohoo Wednesday. It looks like the sun is coming out. It's going to be a nice one here in North London. Wherever you are, take care of yourselves and have a good Wednesday. Bye.